Alrighty, so let's do kind of an introduction here. I told people about the hydroponics setup that I have here that, I did the time lapse with the lettuce on. So this is basically what they are, and I'll go into a little more detail here. Now there's going to be two versions of this video. One that's going to go walk through everything and I'm going to talk about everything all the way through. And second version is going to be a shorter version with time lapse through the repetitive type stuff. So, first thing I want to show is, hopefully these are showing up. These are my Pak Choi's, and you can see I have 19 here. 2 haven't sprouted yet. Well, this one is just coming up, so these 2 aren't going to be ready to go in yet. But if we look at the bottoms, the roots are just now starting to come through the bottom here. There's a good sized one. I don't know if that's showing up or not, but yeah, right in there. So that guy's about ready. And a couple in here, and you can see the roots are coming out the sides and they're already spinning around the bottom. So that guy's ready. So another couple of days and these ones will be ready to go in. So I'm not going to be putting these actually in the pots as of yet, but I'm going to get the pots all set up so that they can be ready. When I let this just normally flow, it takes about 2 days for all of the fluid to get into them. And the reason I say that is because I'm just using 1/4 inch airline hoses that you can get for like fish stuff, or fish airline hose. And those feed into this unit, and I need to clean this one out, I forgot it. But I have a float here. The float will take and regulate the water in here right about this level. Okay, and if you look at where the top comes down, or the net cut comes down, it sits right about this area. So, actually it sits a little bit lower. So when the roots get growing and get down into it, there will be an air gap under them. But I have a line that goes from my main tote, which is over there, and it's got 10 gallons in it, and I use a RO line for it with RO fittings. So the float, when it goes down, will take and fill this up under the pressure from there. It'll then flow out the front here into this 1/4 inch line hose, and all I did was drill a 1/4 inch hole in there, force these in so they're really tight, and then I just siliconed around them. So these will feed into, or this will feed into these pieces, which will then go and feed into the individual pots. So the float one here, we're not ready for it yet, so we're just going to set it aside. It basically goes down on the other end, and that's what regulates my water level up and down. So these, same thing, I just drilled a 1/4 inch hole. All of them have it right in about the same spot. Siliconed them in so that they don't leak. So I'm going to take and set up the multiple ones here, and I'm going to have 3 lines of 6. So each of these, I need to pull these fittings out here, will have a fitting that goes in the end of them, and I try to keep them all down as low as I can. Alright, so then we'll grab another fitting off here. These are the pieces from last year, so I'm just going to disassemble them and use the pieces as I need them. So we'll have another one here. Actually, we'll take and turn this one around. We're going to get a feed through on this one. And turn this one around. So now you can see that these 2 are sitting here with the lines out a little ways. And then we'll just run a quick piece between the 2. And right like a so. And right like a so. Alright, so now when these stay down below, twist that one a little bit so it'll hold it down, hopefully. There. So now the water is going to flow from down there all the way up through to here, and water likes to self-level, so it'll come up the hoses and fill the pots up to the level that the feed tank is down on the other end. So we'll put another hose on here. Actually, let's grab a shorter one. I'll put a hose there, and a hose here. A little bit longer would be good. That's going to be there, and there. So I need something to go between the 2. So let's take and pop this one on. Now, these do eventually stretch, so you have to take and cut the ends off every once in a while if they're feeling loose. Not a big deal, but yeah, let's just do it anyway. If they don't go on tight, they're liable to leak, so that's why you can see me putting a bunch of force into them. Alright, so one there, and this one's going to be on the end. Actually, this one will be one off this side because it's got the longer main hose on it. So here's one with the short one. Now what I was talking about with the longer hoses is I'm going to have another line here that's going to basically feed into these lines too. And then another line that's going to sit on the other side. Well, I'm going to take and run 3 separate lines up. So the long and short aren't going to make a difference. I'll have all 3 of them come together on that end. Then I'll run another line down around the back. That'll hook into these 3 lines over here. So let's get another one here. This one's got a stretched end on it, so let's cut that off. You know, the airline hose is pretty cheap. You can get it, you know, any fish food store, or fish store anyway. You can get it at Walmart, wherever you want. And fittings, you can get them too. I got a pack of 25 fittings on eBay for, I forget, it wasn't very much, but it was a heck of a deal. I think it was just like $3, $4 maybe. Alright, so let's get the back row pretty much set here. Cut these out of the way. And I figure I'm probably getting a little bit off camera here, so sorry about that. Let's grab our hose pieces here. Alright, this one should fit right on that one. And we can put it right onto this one. Now let's turn that one around. And that one felt a little loose too, so let's take and cut it off. Alright, so basically, well, that one's still a little short. It should be fine once the water gets into it, and then I'll run a longer one there. So, with that in mind, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do these up. And for those that watch the shorter version, the time lapse should be starting right about now. For those that want to watch the long version, let's just kind of continue on here. You know, this really isn't rocket science. It's just, how does water flow? You know, water likes to stay level wherever it goes. So, it'll take and flow through pipes. I mean, you think of a siphon. The water always wants to stay at the same level, or a bucket with a hose running between 2 buckets. You fill one up, and what happens? The water all flows. So there's our main one that's going to regulate over here what our water level is here. So it'll all take and flow down through. Alright, so there's 6 there. Let's move on down this way and clear our little room here. Alright, so now let's start another one. And we'll just take and use this existing one. Now, since I'm going to run these in separate lines, it's not going to really matter where I put them. It's just that as long as I get them in. So I can take and run this one up to a key on here. You know, one thing you got to pay attention to is where your where the water lines are. This part is going to be fine, but if it was sitting up like this, the water wouldn't flow up and down into it. So you have to have them relatively level. And let's use another, let's see. Here's a longer one. We can take and put this one in. And hook it up to there. Oh, that end is a little loose. Think about water pressure. You know, you think, well, why doesn't it leak? Well, there's really not much for anything as far as water pressure goes. Yeah, this is quite a bit long. I'm going to cut part of this off. There's not really much for water pressure in it at all. You know, it's just how does the water flow. You know, there's no like pounds of pressure behind it. So let's grab this one. That end is a little stretched, so we'll chop it off. That looks good. Alright, let's hook up to here. And yep, they go on a little tough, and that's always a good thing. Alright, put one in there. So now, basically I have about 3 of them set. And these aren't going to sit exactly perfect. I'll go through and switch them out before once I start getting the water in. The water will hold them in place. So if it's sitting around, it's not that big a deal. You can take and rearrange them as time goes on. Alright, so let's grab this one. And where's our end there? Let's grab a longer one. Cut that end off. And yes, I could be using the scissors instead of this cutter, but I just didn't grab the scissors. Not a big deal. Alright, so now that's in there. And we'll bring this guy up and put him there. And if you do this, you know, you'll be able to feel the next year if they're loose where you think they're gonna start leaking. I can also take and put, you know, the tubes over each other. It's not going to be a big deal. Just as long as it doesn't, you know, sit up higher. See, that one was kind of sitting up higher. Alright. I'm going to have to put a longer piece in that one. You can see it's going to be a problem now. So let's take and pop that one off. You know, when you do it the first time, it's just, you know, take a piece of hose, cut it off where you think it's going to be, and go on to the next one. There we go. So that'll be good. Those will sit nicely, nice. Alright. Let's get down to these ones. There's one there. And may as well put that one in. So here's a piece that's already hooked up. I need to cut that one off. Alright, so for a second there I thought there was something caught in it. Which brings up another point. With the hoses as small as they are, you might be thinking, are the roots going to take and grow back through the hoses? I haven't seen it happen yet. Okay, last year I had 24 pots sitting here, all with lettuce in them, and I had another 12 sitting back that way. You can't see it, but I have another grow area right behind me to my right, and I had another 8 or 10 or 12 sitting there, and never had an issue with the root growing back through one at all. Alright, so let's take and put this one in. So again, I'm just pushing the tees into them. You don't worry about water pressure or anything like that, you know, because there's not really going to be any. Alright, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have 6, and we have 4, 5, 6 more ready to go on our backline here. Alright, so now I got 2 lines here that are going to come together, and I'm going to put them together on the back end with the backline off of this row. These 3 all come together at one place and hook into that one. What I'm hoping is the water is going to flow down the 3 at the same time and be a little more efficient than it has been. You know, and I say efficient, more efficient than it has been, but the plants don't drink the water at such a high rate that this will actually go dry. They just don't, you know. when you watch these fill, it's really weird because one will fill, and then another will fill, and another would fill. You would think they'd all come up at the same time, but they don't, and that's got something to do with water physics somewhere, I guess, but yeah, it just doesn't happen that way. Alright, let's get another piece here. These ones are a little on the longer side, so I can actually take and trim a bunch of that off. I'm gonna. It's just a little too long. Yeah, because last year I had the one sitting on the outside and brought them all in so that the one line feeding down fed them all. Well, I'm changing it up this year so that it's only, or it'll be 3 lines feeding them all. So, I don't know if I'm off camera or on camera right now, but we're getting it done. Okay, that one's a little loose, so let's cut it off. With the lettuce that I had in here last year and growing, I never had an issue with roots coming back through the lines. I never had an issue with in pots not getting filled or running out of water or anything of the sort. And what I was saying before is the flow rates. You look at when you actually watch them when they're filling, it's like drip, 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 and that's more water than the plants are actually using in that amount of time. So, like I say, not an issue, not an issue. And I cut my holes in the tops of these for my net cups, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. I already figured that part out, so that's all good too. And the 2 that didn't grow, I replanted both of those, so hopefully they'll come up pretty soon here. I'll have to check those on a daily basis when I put them in until the roots actually get down to where they're supposed to be. Alright, let's twist you a little bit on there. Okay. I actually need a little bit longer piece here because it's kind of pulling it. So let's put that back there, and this piece should work. That one's a little loose there. Now, after they've been on for a while, the nutrients and stuff dry inside, so it makes a nice tight seal in them. So they may stretch over time, but they don't leak either. The whole time that I had this up last year, I had one leak, and that was because one of these, the seal wasn't quite right. But that was the only time it leaked on me. Alright, so we're going to have to do a longer jump on this one. That one's a little loose too. Now let's cut that one off just to be on the safe side. So yeah, these are all baby food containers, and they're, well, it says net weight 1.41 pounds, but you know, that's powder, and I don't know what the actual volume of them is, but King Star did a couple of videos on hydroponics for himself, where he grew in pots just like these. And I thought, hey, that's a good idea. And it just so happened that my niece was expecting at the time. So I told her, you know, if you're going to be using them, I want all the boxes. Well, I have all of these boxes plus probably 10 or 12 more that haven't even been drilled and hosed yet. Okay, that sounded weird. Sounded good when I thought it. But doesn't matter. Alright. Now we'll put this one. Okay, both of these are short ones. Let's take and pull this one out, because this one's a little longer. And it could stand to be a little shorter. Let's put this one over here. And that fits better there. That fits good there. Need a piece to go about that far. Yeah, really precise measurements here. Ha ha, joke, joke, ha ha ha. Alright. That one goes in there. Get a little room there, little room there. And I am out of fittings. Hang on a second. Bunch more fittings. Alright. Put this one in here. That one on loose. I know what you were thinking. You were thinking, hey, oh, that tube just fell on the floor. Well, there's a 5-gallon cracky style bucket sitting right next to me that's to be used yet. Yeah, behind me to my right, I have another setup like this with another 4-bulb setup like this. And then behind me to the left, I have another setup for cracky style for 5-gallon buckets. It holds 4 5-gallon buckets that I think well, I started growing peppers and haven't done it this year as of yet. Alright, so now we connect these two lines together. So now these two lines are connected all the way through up to here. And we'll take another piece of this from here. Well, we need to have a line into it to go up to the float. The float will sit right here. Now you're probably thinking, but Rob, if you take and put a float over there and it brings it up to the bottom of below where the net cup comes in, you know, half an inch below where the net cup is, then how are you going to put the net cups in with the wrist so low? Easy. And lift the pot up half an inch or 3/4 of an inch with little spacers so that the water level comes up and hits the bottom of the cup. Then when it's done or it's ready, I turn the water off leading to the float, you know, the float unit, and the water will go down. And the water will go down in these as the plants are using them. It usually takes about a week, maybe 10 days for them to get down low enough. Then I'll take the spacers out, set the water down, and then turn the water back on. If I take this one on the end and just drop it down with the upper level, all of these will flow right back to it and flow right up and over it. Now I guess I could put it in a tray with a drain that would drain it out, but yeah, that's too much work, too much bother. Okay, so I need to, at this time, run a piece across here. And this, connecting up these two, will connect up, you know, the two lines that I have running here for these lines, connected into this line here. And I'll put a T in it, because that way then the float can sit right here and feed them all. So we'll take this one and cut it right here. Maybe give it an extra inch and a half. Okay, so then that'll feed into there. Now I need to do the other end, which I'm sorry is probably going to go off camera. Excuse me, Murph. He was sleeping or sitting on the floor. I don't know if he was actually sleeping or not, but he was laying on the floor. Alright. So now we have the two over here that we're going to take and connect together. Where's the other one? So we got one there. And what is the... There it is. Couldn't see it. Those two are actually close enough to where I can probably get away with putting one of these short ones in. That might actually be a little too short. We'll find out. Alright, so yeah, if I take this one, put it on here, and then take this one, that's not going to work. Yep, I like puzzles. Come on, come apart. There we go. Alright, so that's the end of that one. And I need the one to go from here. Goes there. This one can go here. Alright, now I'm gonna reach over. Alright, so somewhere in the process I made a mistake. What did I do wrong? Okay. Oh, isn't that just typical? Camera decided to shut off after I think it was 27 minutes and didn't realize it until after I got back up. And yeah, I'm filming here by myself. So anyway, basically I got all the tubes hooked up from the front side all the way to the back side. And they're all coming up to one main location here. When the video cut off, I was working on these end pieces, and yeah, I got them hooked up and around. So now this line feeds all the way up to here. The one line feeds all the way up, and the other line feeds all the way up. And they all come right to here. So then I'll take my pot, and I'll set it down over on the end, and have this tube run right into it. And it'll take and fill everything basically up just perfect. So didn't miss much at the end of the video. I cleaned up a little bit. And yeah, so in case you're curious, the reason I'm only doing 18 this year instead of the 24 like I did last year is because my lights only are effective out to here. Last year I had to take the extra 6 plants that were on the end here and rotate them in and back and forth in order to keep them growing. No, excuse me. So I figure right now, with the way that these 18 are, they'll sit right under the lights because my light beams, or the light field comes down and it sits just about perfect here. I had to raise the lights up in order to get under here to do this, but yeah, I can take and drop, I'll take and drop them down. Oh, excuse me again. I'll take and drop them down right into this level until the Pak Choi starts growing. Well, now in the house, the Pak Choi grows a lot larger in the hydroponics than it does outside. Outside, my plants would usually get about yay big. In here, they get up to be about that big with stalks on them, probably about that big around. It's to the point where last year, actually this spring when I still had them grown on the other table, I would come up and pick 8 leaves, and that would make a perfect side salad. If I wanted to have it as a main dish, I only had to pick like 12 leaves. So I was growing more than I was actually able to eat. So I'm not growing lettuce this year. At least I don't think so. I might start up another Pak Choi or maybe a basil or a few other things over on the other one. And mind you, this is a spare bedroom, as you can tell by the beds sitting on their sides over there. And yeah, but anyway, wasn't using it and nobody ever stays in it, so why not? I think that's about it. I'm going to cut the video here shortly because I need to clean the pot out, and I want the seedlings to get a little bit more root structure on them before I go and fill it. Like I said, it takes about 2 days for these to fill, and that'll give my other ones a little bit more, or my seedlings there, more of a chance to get some roots growing. So I don't have to bring the float up as high, because if the roots will actually go down and hit the water, then I don't have to bring the float up as high. One other thing that you might be asking is, why did I use the black lines? Well, the black air lines are harder to find, but it doesn't allow the light to get through. The algae doesn't grow on them. I could use clear lines, but yeah, the algae issues started to concern me, and figuring if algae got into them and started growing through, it could eventually close them off, and then I have to throw them all out. So I haven't had any issues with water flowing through any of these this year when I took it apart, because to drain it, I pulled that end one off, ran a hose to it down to the drain, and then I raised all of the others and started tilting them so that everything would flow through. That was just to make sure that I still had the perfect water flow. But when I took the plants out, all of them were at the same height as far as the water levels in them go. So that in itself was good. I just have like I say, a 10-gallon tote sitting back behind me up on an old dresser. And I did basically the same thing. I put a hole through it, and the 1/4-inch RO bulkheads, screwed one of those into place, siliconed it into place, ran the tube in the one side and a small piece out the other side, and yeah, it works just perfect. I drilled it about, maybe 3 inches up from the top, so the tank will never actually go dry, but it'll stop flowing. With the lettuce and the Pak Choi growing, the water level in it didn't go down all that fast. So I was going and putting in maybe 5 gallons every 2, maybe 3 weeks. I'm not exactly sure. I'd come in and check in the morning to make sure the levels were good, and take and harvest what I wanted to for the day, and away I would go. So basically this is a pretty much hands-off type operation. You don't really have to monitor too many things. It's more, you spend more time actually cutting your food that you're going to grow, or that you can eat, versus time putzing around with this. So in that case, it's pretty alright, and I don't mind it one bit. Okay, so I think that's going to be about it. This video is probably one of the longest videos I've ever done, other than the hot pickle challenge one. So I just might leave this one all in one piece and not have a cut version. We'll see, because now that I think about it, I was sitting here talking and I might have given up a bunch of good information during it. So I'm going to cut out the second video for the high-speed one. Any questions, leave a comment down below. I usually get back to you, and I like talking about this kind of stuff. And I notice I talk a little bit on the quick side, but if you really like what you're doing and you're having fun with it, why not, right? Okay, so I'm going to cut this here. If you liked it, please leave a like down below. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. And I will do another video in a couple days when these guys get big enough to warrant being put into them. Now this guy's got good size root on him that, it's probably a good 1.5 inches long. I probably shouldn't pull that up just in case I damage it. Okay, so I pulled it up anyway. Now it's probably a good 1.5 inches long. And I'm going to bring these down back under the light right there, so they can sit and get some wonderful light and have some fun and maybe grow some more. I'm going to have to pull a couple of these. I accidentally put a few too many seeds in them. But, yeah, that's alright. This guy does look like he's growing. I can see the seed coming up. So that's good. And this one I'm not so sure about yet. I'm not seeing anything in him, so he's probably a dud. Yeah, he's a dud, I think. Oh well, that's why you put an extra one in. Alright, that should about do it. Like I say, any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below and I'll get back to you. Alrighty then. Thank you much. Bye.